Yatras. Very person from new book on that. Today we have Sania, one more understand and six and sometimes. The book is based against bonds. Then four items. Mirza, Sania's father, coach and mentor. And Shivani Gupta, TV anchor, journalist and author. Conducting the discussion is Boria Majumdar, sports historian, author, TV personality, and for me, most importantly, a beautiful in sports. Ordering this session is not perfect. And probably I'll just five outstanding questions. We follow the other discussion and Q&A. Boria, over to you.
Thank you very much. Just to procedure this something that happens to me, and I can say it's publicly happens to be a lot of inspiring sports because every man and my partners they give any perspective. So that's what we know this way. One way I can say is totally notice. And literally me but it was very low in the days or during the very much so I learned a lot and Shivani happens to be a paid part of the played a big grade of 7 years. We done several performances. It's very interesting. So in that I'm the I call her a champion for a reason. She's, as I said, a single day order of this being produced to be part of this. And it's a second of collaboration aspect. So, but before I go to Sania, Imran, and Shivani, Sania has a very involved with this as a very accent. She will be very proud to hear this story and that she's a successor to someone who is little more but is however a part of Indian history. So I'm grateful for a very different Anushka that has started a brand to a story of the Tata and to tell us the story to people like Gupta, Sania, and Mirza.
So, Boria, thank you so much for inviting me to narrate this story. Firstly, welcome to Imran, to Sania, Shivani, to you. Privilege to host all of you on behalf of the Tata Group. Boria, the reason that this series was established was because it's exactly 100 years since Raji Tata steered India into its very first Olympics and worked in the year 1920. We celebrate it. But little known is the story of Raji Tata's wife, a lady man fighter, who was also a pioneer in the fight against petty magic. And not known as the lady man fighter was a very active sportsperson, and she was so important. She used to play tennis 100 years ago, and she won more than 60 championship prizes at that. She was so proud of her Indian heritage that she used to play tennis in the Parsi Darasan, in the Parsi Darasan, in the Silphogam Society, and Raj Tata and the Tata also used to be quite often to watch matches there. So that is the tennis heritage from the Raj Tata and the Tata. And those few words is such a privilege to have Sani and all of you wonderful conversation. Thank you for inviting me to.
So basically, David Mekata was blessing Sania and Putin and she was great history for India. And my book, Street First Question, you are out there in Hollywood. There is consumable in the
You guys think everything was known. Actually, not everything was known, which is why the book. I think it's there's so much said and written about us as public figures. Book where it is. I think it's very important. No matter how many interviews you do, and no matter how many artists do, even if you speak, even if when you put it out there, you write something, it's coming from the people to get who have understood it. It's not really the too much. It's not good or bad, it's just the way it is. So it was a very important for us. And obviously, I had a lot that have gone on in my life and my career on after what I really important to set certain things in also. Also inspire young kids to, to understand the hard work. And I think like people who think that you always want to work on the red carpet to understand what actually happens to the meditation and you don't work on the red carpet and the work that goes behind it and not just from you, but from the entire family, from your friends. I mean, it's a complete team effort. So I think it's very important to put it out and hopefully, if the book inspires one child to say that, I want to do something outside of the box. I want to do something that I never been done before. And no matter how many people say that you can't do it, either if you pass one kid to do and follow their dream, I think they would have probably ultimately that the people were writing that. So,
I mean, I hope that answer really has into this based on him is the most inspiring sports person there. So, when I send that to you, when was now and being
Well, 4 every day for I go out here and I hope that the next blown up. So I'm getting for fire. But one person the three reasons why that need to run for. First thing, as I mentioned, that was there's so many controversies with drugs that what you need to put on strength. Because our point of view was that so it was a bad very good talk about what we need to say. The second reason I think, and we had learned so much through experience, we thought it would be a waste unless we put it out for the next generation. And that was point number two. But there was also a third angle to it, because of all the controversies that were going on around Sania, I thought that a lot of her achievements were getting diluted in the public eye. And I thought it was important to put all those achievements under one cover in one book for posterity. Because and I think we succeeded in that, because it might have been some of the things that we mentioned might have been a little bit boring for the general average reader, but it was important to put those to highlight those. And I was happy to know that there were some journalists who spoke to me after reading the book. They said they had covered Sania for 10 years, but they didn't realize what she had achieved. I think that's where we succeeded.
Okay. I apologize for the little technical bandwidth issue with Imran Bhai, but that's par for the course in this new normal, and the fact that we've got all of them is the most important. So if you could sort of, I got everything that Imran Bhai said. If any of you missed out on anything, we will try and get you, as we move along, we will try and get you all of what he was trying to say. But the 3 points made complete sense to me. Shivani, if I come to you, you were covering Sania on the one hand, you were obviously part of the circuit in another, and here you were co-authoring this book with the two of them. So from your perspective, why, how did it all happen? Why did it all happen? Your journey.
So, Boria, of course, for me, the question is not why the book, because it was clearly Sania's decision and Imran's decision of deciding to write and put out the books. For me, it was just plainly a privilege, really, to be part of this storytelling experience, put in my effort in this, because as we have said earlier, Sania's story is not just the most, and to rise to that level of fame and adulation, and the trials and tribulations that a young teenager went through, and how it shaped her as a woman and as a woman leader, and behind the scenes, the sacrifices, as Sania said, of all the families, especially the parents, but everybody else connected to them as well. I think that was, for me, something that I got from the experience, because, when you're watching athletes as journalists, while we do cover behind the scenes as well, sometimes it is not possible to know everything that an athlete has gone through or is going through. Yeah. So for me, it was a great privilege to understand that, and also to understand the psychology, because I think everybody would agree that at one stage, Sania was, as is certified, the most Googled woman, from India. So she had just too many eyes on her, and everything she said really made headlines. And how that affected them as a family, her as an individual, how did they deal with those pressures? I think that was really fascinating for me because it's not just the pressure on the court that Sania dealt with. There was too much going on off it as well.
Okay. So, Sania, if I take off from there, what Shivani was saying, when you look back, you've told your story and it's a story well told. It still has this feeling of the surreal that coming from where you did with no background of tennis whatsoever in India for women, in your own family, that all of a sudden there was this Sania Mirza that, you are our card, you are our global card. Oh, you know what? In India we have a Sania Mirza, so my daughter can. Some aspiration there, that you've become this role model at the age of what, 25, 20, and then now 30s. As Shivani said, when you look back, how do you look at it? I mean, it is an incredible story. You still believe that you've actually done all this?
Sometimes I feel like it's been such a long journey, and then there are some days that I feel it went by in a flash. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, sometimes it just feels, everything that comes back to us, the train rides, the car rides, going from Mumbai to Trivandrum at that time, driving for 24 hours, and now that stopped 20 times before we reached the destination, with my sister along, with my parents, my mom, there was so much that had happened, right? And people actually thinking it was a joke and dreamt of playing Wimbledon one day or becoming a tennis player or a professional tennis player from this part of the world, being a girl. I remember till date, probably, that as a girl or as a young woman, I was not told on a particular day that you can't do this, whatever it may be. It could have been playing tennis, it could be, oh, you can't do this. I was even told I can't make a comeback after I had a baby. So every point of my life, and I think a lot of women face that, every point of their life they are told, you can't do this, it's not possible. They said, you can't lose weight, you can't come back. I came back, I won the tournament. Now, oh, you can't win a medal, you can't do this. You were told that. So there's so much that goes on in my head when I think about it. When I look back in the book, sometimes I read this stuff and it comes back to me. Because I've forgotten, because there's so much that has happened. And, I grew up in front of media when I was 15 or 16 years old. So I was a teenager who was still discovering who I was as a person. So a lot of it feels surreal, a lot of it, because I had to grow up in front of millions of people. I had to grow up in front of them. So, but having said all that, if somebody told me at the beginning of my life when I picked up a tennis racket that this is what your career will look like and your life would look like, I would have taken it with both my hands. So, so I think that it's been an amazing journey. It's been an extraordinary experience for all of us. I think that if we would have experienced it before and said that, okay, the second time around we'll try and do this, we would have thought about it twice. But because of the fact that we were also discovering everything as we went along, we just kind of went along with it. And, even without knowing sort of like what to expect or what's going to happen. And what happens if your car breaks down in the middle of the road, in the middle of Mumbai? What happens? We didn't even think of those things. And we went in the entire country. That's how we traveled the country. So things like that. And I think that it's been an extraordinary life. Yeah.
Absolutely it is. I mean, this is a story of actually the girl next door, not born into privilege, not born into gold and silver, fulfilling aspirations that can only be seen in movies or films or books. And here you go. She's in front of you, flesh and blood, fulfilling every aspiration. I mean, that's the Sania Mirza story for me. And you know what? The Sania Mirza story is so uniquely Indian. There's a stamp. There is no Sania Mirza without the family. And I keep saying this. Nasima auntie is not here today as part of this program. But her contribution, for example, Anam's contribution, even today, with Sania in Dubai, Imran Bhai's contribution is documented and known. Now, this is uniquely India. It is an India talking to the world that we will protect our daughter, we will protect the sister, we will protect the family, and as a family put ourselves forward. This is the story that makes Sania Mirza unique in the annal of world sport. Imran Bhai, as father, as mentor, as coach, did you ever doubt that, I'm telling my daughter to do this, oh, there is this controversy, oh, this is happening, her sexuality is being sort of publicly paraded and consumed. Did you fear any of this, or you were like, no? I mean, for me, your family and what you've achieved, trust you me, if I've ever got to learn how to be a father, it'll be you.
Boria, I think me and my wife decided a long time ago, as long as we believed in something and we believed it was right, it was going to make no difference whatsoever if people spoke negatively about something that we were doing or we were planning to do. But we were also very conscious of keeping Sania out of any kind of negativity. So we tried to form a cocoon, and that's something that, so we wanted Sania not to experience what we were going through. It was tough times. But I think it was the belief in the system that what we were doing was the right thing to do, and we wanted to achieve something that had never been achieved by anything. And because it was sport, it was something that was extremely dear to us, and we continued to just work hard at it. And there was never something that we could not do. If there was a problem, we would come up with a solution, and that was an accepted fact between me and my wife, that if there is a problem, we have to get around it. Whether Sania got to know of it or not is a different story, but between us, we were absolutely certain that we were going to get around any problem that ever came our way.
Fantastic. I mean, that's life lesson. That's a life lesson in this session. Shivani, now let me ask you a gendered question. I generally don't. But as a woman, I mean, for once, forget everything else. As a woman, almost the same age, seeing Sania Mirza do what she was doing in the global platform, what was that telling you? Because you were choosing a career path which had sport at its center point at that point in time, and I hope you come back because you're a superb sports journalist and sport misses you. So as a woman seeing Sania do what she was doing, tell me your own experience.
I think, first of all, Sania and I are only a few months apart, actually. We are exactly the same age. So, our lives are very different and have taken very different paths. But I think at one level, we can all relate to her, right, as women, but even otherwise as well. But I remember we were just discussing that Australian Open match she played versus Serena Williams, which is one of the highlights that keeps coming back. Because, it was televised, people in India were watching. It was one of those moments where you feel like you're rooting for an Indian on a global stage. And it's a moment that I remember very clearly. I was also, the same age at that time. But since I was a sports lover at that time, I remember that moment in my life. So I think it's important I don't look at myself only as a woman, Boria. I feel like I look at myself as a person first. And I look at Sania as a person first, not just as a man or a woman. That's a secondary identity. But yes, for India at that time, to have a woman athlete who was, in your face, who was stylish, who was young, who spoke her mind, and who played great sport and had that ferocious forehand, was good to watch on the court, was, a joy to hear in press conferences. I think that was just a revelation for many, many women in India, her age and a little bit younger to her, that you can be yourself, that you can be fearless. I think when you watched Sania and you heard her and you saw her take on the world, because she was so much in media attention all the time, some of it not warranted, of course, as we look back, you felt a sense of fearlessness from her. I don't know where she got it from. Maybe she can expand that on it, whether she was aiming to be fearless or not, or that's just who she was. But that's something I remember, it's just somebody who's not concerned with what the world thinks about her. Because that's a burden that women have to carry.
Okay. Sania, I mean, it doesn't matter to me what she said, but frankly, you know what? From the perspective of India, and this observation is as an academic, I'm glad you're a woman. Because the story doesn't have that. I mean, if I'm able to express myself, believe me, you're a beacon of hope. I mean, you will forever be a beacon of hope. And if I'm able to say that, I mean, I want to be a feminist seeing you. I want to see my daughter grow up being you. I want to tell her, oh, you know what? Don't give a damn for controversy. Go face the world. That's what the power of the Sania story tells me. And that's why you are a story which is so positive. All of us are suffering this COVID pandemic in multiple ways. I mean, we've been negative. We've gone through mental issues. Tell me about that Wimbledon championship. I mean, midnight India, all of us are seeing you go back, rain, come out and create history. Roger says one of the greatest matches ever played, winning that Wimbledon title which you'd won as a teenager in the juniors. Tell me, that match in the Sania Mirza legacy, tell me, I mean, take yourself back. It still gives all of us goosebumps, but take yourself back and tell me about that game.
So actually, just to follow up on what you guys were saying, I'll come to the Wimbledon match. I do believe that we are all here for a larger purpose. I don't think that I'm here just to play tennis or Shivani is here just to tell a story or write a story and you're not here just to have a conversation with us. I think that when we are put in these positions in life, I do believe that I am extremely lucky to be in this position, and our family from where we came to where we are, we're in an extremely influential position, if I may say so, as we become and now with social media, everybody with a following has influencers. But I think that our belonging is much larger than just to play tennis. And honestly, that what Shivani was talking, whether I was trying to be fearless or whether I was fearless, it wasn't so much thought process in that. It was more about, am I being true? Because is this what a girl, is this what a young girl is going to look at me? What is she going to think? What is she going to think that, is she lying? Is she faking it? Is she being, it was not about correct or wrong. There is no correct or wrong in situations like this. But I do think that my job here with everything that God has given me is much larger than playing tennis, which is why I come out and I say things, because I don't think that we are here just to keep quiet, especially when you have so much privilege and especially when you have been given such a big voice. So that was just to follow up on what Shivani was saying. But coming back to Wimbledon, I think that that moment was definitely one of I get goosebumps the minute I think about it. Honestly, I'm having goosebumps now. It couldn't have been written better if somebody had to write in a movie. It was one of those movie moments that happens, that at 5-all, when we're down 5-2 in the third set, we go back in at 5-all. Funnily enough, my dad knows this obviously. We went inside and people must be thinking, oh my God, we're like all worked up, and me and Martina were laughing. We were like, we couldn't believe we're still in the match because we were down and out. We were 5-all and we were both cramping. Both our legs were cramping and we were getting a massage for 20 minutes. That's all we did in that 20 minutes, did half an hour break. And when we stepped up, we actually didn't talk a lot about the match. Dad was there. We came out, we stepped on the court and 4 of us got a standing ovation. That moment was the most special moment of my career, I think. It has to be up there. We looked at each other, me and Martina, and we just said to each other, this is what we've been working for. This is the moment that we've worked all our lives and for all these years for. And we smiled. So if you see, we were smiling a lot. And some people asked us about it, that why were you guys smiling? And we were like, because we were enjoying the moment. That's the moment I can tell you when people say, how do you enjoy such a high pressure moment? We were enjoying it. We were embracing that. Because win or lose, that was going to go down as one of the greatest moments of our life and our career. So I think that that went on, that moment, I think, the entire country, kind of erupted after that as well, because winning Wimbledon is something that even a non-tennis person will tell you that they know what Wimbledon is. It's like saying that a non-cricket person knows what Lords is, the same way every person who doesn't even know tennis knows what Wimbledon is. So to win over there and the fashion that we won and everything that happened after that, as we all know, was something incredible. And it was a moment that I think it was most special. I don't know how many people know, my dad was fasting on that day. It was Ramzan, and the match point was the point, he can tell you, the match point was the point when he broke his fast. He broke his fast, we put a date in his mouth and we won the match. Like, it was simultaneous. So that's why I say it's much larger than just a tennis match. It's much larger than just playing tennis. It's so much more than that. And for me, these are all signs. So
fantastic story. Imran bhai, 2 questions to you. That moment for you, talk about it. You were, what Sania just said, you lived it all. You were there. You were seeing history unfold. That will be one of the greatest moments for Indian sport of all time. The other question is something that's not in the book.
A little bit before that. The night
Hold
before
on, hold on.
night before the final.
One minute. The second question to you is, at the age of 18, 19, I think 2005, when the Indian flag was upside down and Sania Mirza refuses to play, saying, get the flag right in the United States and only then will I step onto the court. A 19-year-old making that statement on behalf of our country. Talk to me about that also. So 2 questions to you.
Yeah, firstly, let me start about the night before the final at Wimbledon. You know, Sania is generally an extremely relaxed person, and that was one night I could see that she was struggling to sleep well. You know, she was tense. You probably realize that this could be it. This is your one and only chance, perhaps, to ever win something as big as Wimbledon. And she probably did not get a full night's sleep that night. And then we went out to practice in the morning, and she was hitting the ball all over the place. And she seemed extremely tense. And I just went up, my only job was to try and relax her. I said, just don't worry about it. You'll get it in the match. Once the match starts, you will get your stroke. And she wasn't too convinced, but she kept on trying to hit the ball. When the match started off, in our box, we had Bollywood stars Farhan Akhtar and his dad Javed Akhtar was there. There was Azhar Mahmood, the Pakistani fast bowler, was there. His wife was there. And Azhar and I were both fasting. And the match was extremely tense, as you know. It came to 5-all after being down 2-5. The girls came back to 5-all in the third set. And that's when I didn't even know that we were got to know the rule that and the girls. You can't hear me?
We're losing you, but that's fine. We'll struggle, but it's okay. You keep going, because this is a story that even if we get 75% of it, we'll take it. Go for it.
Yeah. So at 5-all, I was surprised that I was actually invited to go into the box where Sania and Martina were relaxing, while the opponents were in the other room. And you know, my only job was like Sania said, yeah, they seemed to be giggling and happy and a little bit anxious, but everything seemed good. My only job at that point was to keep them relaxed, because I knew from that point onwards it was anybody's match. At all, it was just a question of getting one net caught here or there, and the match was over, the championship was done. So my job was to try and keep them relaxed and help them to try and play the best they could. So I kept on saying that you've already done what was expected of you. I think you are part of one of the greatest matches that anyone would have seen at Wimbledon, especially in women's doubles. And now you just have to go out there and just try and give your best. You win, you lose. That's the way. But you have to play to your strengths. Sania, you have a great forehand. You get a forehand, go for it. And Martina, you see a volley at the net, just go for it. Don't leave it. Don't let it go. You miss it, you miss it. But you have to play to your strengths and stay relaxed. You lose it, that's destiny. That's it. And they were
I think Imran Bhai's connection is acting up a little bit, so I'll let it stabilize and take a question of Sania and Shivani and go back to Imran Bhai with the question I asked about the 19-year-old sort of standing up for the flag. Imran Bhai, can you speak once? Let me see if your connection is stabilized a little bit. Speak once.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, better. Go for it. Yeah.
Okay. So now coming to that 2005 match at Forest Hill, that was the week before the US Open. There is a practice in most tournaments where the flags of the countries of the players who are representing in that tournament are up in the stadium. And the Indian flag was out there at Forest Hills, but unfortunately it was put upside down. And Sania was the first to note it, and she got it to the notice of the organizers there, who were extremely helpful. And they said, okay, you carry on, and we'll immediately get that done. But Sania just refused. She said, I'm not going to play until that has the orientation of the flag has been changed. And it took them almost 45 minutes for them to get a ladder and get that changed. But she refused to start the match, and you know, the organizers were at their wits' end, not knowing what to do, but they had to go by what Sania was saying. And for me to watch a 19-year-old daughter at that point of time having so much respect for the flag, I think that gave me goosebumps more than anything else.
Fabulous. Champ, were you always like this? It came naturally to you? Unreal.
I mean, it came naturally to me, but what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. If the flag is not right, I'm not going to play. It's as simple as that. It's really not. I mean, the thing is that people think that everything that I do, there's a huge thought process behind it. It really, there isn't. It's pretty much, I mean, a lot of things can be black and white. They don't need to be like thought over so much. If we are playing for the flag, we play for the flag, whether we play individually or we play as a team. If they don't have the basic respect to keep the flag straight, I'm not going to participate in anything. But that's something as patriotic as a flag. But I can do that for a bath mat also. If it's not correct, it's not correct. And if I'm not okay with it, I'm going to say it. So that's how I am as a person. So I'm not going to sit there and especially when it comes to a flag, I'm not going to say, that I'm playing for India, but it's okay if it's upside down. I'll just continue playing and then, maybe they'll change it in the next couple of days. Like, I'm not okay with that. So, yeah, I guess I is like that.
Nice. Shivani, I've got 10 minutes for this conversation with Sania. It always happens. It just time flies like this. And we started 10 minutes late. So I'll continue till 7:10 to give people adequate time for questions. What is the Sania Mirza legacy, Shivani? I mean, quickly, your Wimbledon moment, that match. And if I ask you the Sania Mirza legacy, as someone who's been there, done that, authored the book, co-authored the book with her, and also sort of covered sport for a hell lot of time, how do you define that?
I will say, Boria, that let's not forget that she was top 30 in the world in singles. We talk about the Wimbledon's final and winning the Wimbledon trophy and her 6 Grand Slams. But before that, she was really our torch bearer and our flag bearer at the very highest echelons of tennis. And we hadn't had that. I mean, since Vijay Amritraj, we hadn't had that for a very long time. And then Sania has come along. And to just gauge her legacy, let's just put it this way, I don't think, and I'm not saying this as a disrespect, I don't think there's even anyone on the horizon after Sania Mirza, men or women, to get there. So that just gives you a sense of how difficult it is for anyone to achieve that in the world. It is a very competitive sport, tennis, but in India especially. So the fact that we have, somebody like Sania, who's a once in a generational kind of a player, because we are not producing them every generation or every other generation, that itself is a legacy. And I must add here that I must credit the role that Imran has played, as far as shaping and building her career is concerned. He talked about how he wanted to present a roadmap for what others could do. And I think one of the things Imran has always specified in our, informal chats as well, not just something that we were discussing for the book, is choosing the right tournament. Where to go for the right points, for the right exposure, for the right draw and things like that. So he has used all of his knack in just giving Sania the right platform. She has in some ways been at the right place at the right time. And that has been important as well. But just to, come back to the legacy question, I think the legacy is that she was an outlier in a truly global sport and a woman at that who really burst open the imagination of the people in India. That no matter what sport it is, Indians can be good at even a sport. Remember, Boria, you would know as a journalist, lots of people would say this is just not for Indians. That tennis is not a sport for Indians. That we just don't have the body or the physique, or the, we don't grow up the way that tennis players need to. So all of those some myths, some stereotypes also were broken by Sania, being top 30 in the world, and then, of course, winning 6 Grand Slams as well.
Okay, Sania, now coming to the question that maybe is not part of the book per se, but merits a sequel. You had everything. You achieved everything. One of the greatest ever Indian sports persons. No one can take the legacy away from you. Incredible family, happiness, bliss, son. Why come back? Where did that come from? I mean, motherhood, come back, push your body. Tell me, yes, I mean, to come back, what was the motivation? How did you push yourself to do that, for God's sake? Tell me that.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Boria, you know me well enough. If somebody tells me I can't do something, then so I have to do it. There's no doubt about that. And no, but on a very serious note, I mean, I did get told a lot that I'm not going to be able to lose weight and I've become so fat and that I'm never going to be able to become playing tennis. They thought I was never going to become thin again. I don't know from which world they came from, but that's what I was told on a daily basis, you know, and I was fat shamed like all these people, especially women are. But on a more serious note, the reason I wanted to come back was because it was an Olympic year. That was one of the main targets that I had, to be very honest. And like you said, I had everything. And not that my career would have been a failure if I didn't make another Olympics and I didn't play another Olympics. But I thought that if I'm able to, and I was still finding that inspiration within myself to make that comeback. And honestly, I like challenges. And I thought, you know, I've done so many things that have challenged me. I want to lose 23 kilos and I want to see if I can play at the level that I was playing again before that. It was almost a challenge within myself. It wasn't really for anybody else or anything else. But Olympics was a big part of it as well, because I felt that was one thing that was missing. You remember very well, I spoke to you after the last Olympics, and it was one of the most heartbreaking moments of my career. We always talk about athletes and how about their accomplishments and the highs, but there are also a lot of lows that happen in an athlete's career, and that was one of the most heartbreaking things that happened to me. And just in every way that it was, and at that point, everybody asked me, including you, if I was going to play another Olympics, and I said no. I wasn't even doubtful about it. I said there is no way, because I knew that I wanted to have a kid, and I knew that I didn't know that if I was going to come back after that kid, and I knew that, but I was ready to become a mother at that point. So, unfortunately, obviously, Olympics didn't happen because of this pandemic and everything. But when I did come back, and so in many ways, the comeback that happened for me was for a bunch of reasons. Also, I think that it's very important. My son, hopefully one day when he'll understand the magnitude of what it means, you know, for he has given birth, and him being present with me, I felt like I was finding that inspiration when I would look at him. And I said that I don't think that a woman needs to stop living her dream just because she becomes a mother. A woman doesn't need to stop living her dream because she becomes a wife. A woman doesn't need to stop living her dream for anybody else. She needs to stop living it only if she wants to. And that is something that I have followed. And for me, it was very important to put that message across as well. And
I'll stop you there. I think the 3 lines that she said there should be recorded and put out by the Tata group as to what Sania Mirza is about. If anyone wants to imbibe what she's about, what this country should be about, what our men and women, we should be about, our life philosophies should be about, it is exactly what she just said. That's why she is who she is. Yes, Sania, please go on.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, now I don't know, you know, if I'm going to play again or not. I just made my comeback, but hopefully I can play the next Olympics. You know, I was sure at the beginning of this year, but now I am not 100% sure. I'm maybe 80%, but hopefully I will play the next Olympics, and hopefully I'll be good enough to still put myself in a shot to win a medal. And then I can write my sequel, and then we can do this whole conversation again after we write a book.
Brilliant. Imran bhai, now tell me.
That sounds nice.
Is in a COVID-controlled world, hopefully by next July, in a COVID-controlled world, are we sitting together in Tokyo watching Sania play? I don't know whether it's with Divij or with Rohan. She's got her ranking protected. Are we seeing that with Izhan in your lap? Are we seeing that?
Are you asking me or are you asking my dad?
I'm asking Imran bhai.
Yeah, why not, Boria? Why not? I'd just like to add a couple of things about what Sania said and what Shivani said. One, like Sania said, that she loves challenges, and if someone says you cannot do it, she would be the first one to try and defy that. I've actually used that, especially when she was a junior. When there was a tough opponent, I would tell her, you know, this is a player you will not be able to beat. And she would beat that player and come up to me and said, now what? So, you know, I've actually used that streak in Sania to defy odds. As Shivani said that, we were extremely particular about the kind of tournaments we chose, particularly in the juniors. And I'd like to say that we divided the tournaments into 3 categories. The first category, those were the tournaments where Sania was expected to win because she was the favorite to win. So she had to handle that pressure of being a favorite. There was another category where in the first category, she had to win and earn points, and her ranking had to go up. In the second category, she was playing. We knew she would not win, but she had to be seeing what level she needed to be the kind of player she was going to play. And there was a third category where we made her play only where we thought the sponsors would be watching, and she would be able to garner some sponsorships, which is extremely important. So you need this kind of planning, and this is something that I find a little bit missing in the current generation.
Fantastic, fantastic. I mean, look at the thought behind the creation of a Sania Mirza. I mean, that is what is instructive there. But champ, you can't do one thing. Jokes apart, you still can't make an omelette. I still remember, you can, wow, I still remember that egg flying out in your house on Leopold Road in Wimbledon. You tried to break the egg and it flew off 20 feet.
The pandemic has taught me how to make an omelette. The pandemic, like everything else, has taught me how to bake like everybody else.
Wow.
I was like, but the problem is that I said that if I see one more banana bread or one more cake on Instagram, I'm going to like break my head or something. But the pandemic did teach me a little bit how to cook and be a little bit more domesticated, if you may.
This is one of the highlights, on Leopold. Imran Bhai had rented this property when San was playing Wimbledon, and we had a fabulous Indian meal with biryani and everything. And I remember she tried breaking an egg, and that egg flew off 20 feet. So that is my memory of Sania Mirza's cooking. That is the truth. I don't exaggerate. Imran Bhai will attest to it. That is the exact truth. I am not exaggerating. No way. I'm not exaggerating. I'll put it on record. That's
exaggerating. 20 for 15 feet.
Okay. I've got to now go into my questions. I think it was a fascinating chat. Questions will be more for Sania as is expected, but I will try and get everyone in. Priya Pereira, winner number 1. There are 5 winning questions. How did Sania juggle marriage, motherhood, and tennis?
Just the way I am. I think this is the thing, right? I don't mind answering the question, but I think it's very important to not have this question, because if a man is not questioned about it, I don't think a woman should be questioned about it. And I think that's when we will achieve equality. I think that when a man gets to juggle marriage and children and an office and be a CEO and play tennis and do all those things and have twins and like Roger have 4 kids and is not questioned about it, I don't think any woman needs to be questioned about it. The same way everybody else manages it, you do it. I agree that for a mother it's probably a little bit more challenging, because right now with the COVID situation I haven't gotten back to tennis because I'm thinking as a parent first and then as a tennis player.
Yeah.
But that is a struggle that we all have in different ways. But I think this question needs to end. And a woman shouldn't be asked this question again and again, how you're going to juggle. It's about why not? How are you not going to juggle it? It's fine. You can juggle it just like a man does.
Tremendous. Priya Pereira, I think that was a brilliant answer. Imran Bhai, you take this before I go to Shivani with the third one. Sapna Pawar, winner number 2. How objective can a father be about his daughter? Did that hamper your judgment at any point in time?
As long as you believe in yourself and you believe in your daughter, I don't think there's too much to think about. We had complete faith in what we were doing. We had complete faith in our daughter. We had given her the values, and we are confident that she was going to be, upholding those values. And after that, it became easy for us. There was nothing more to be said and nothing more to be done.
Okay. Shivani, why don't you take this one? From Sambit Joshi, winner number 3. How challenging is it to find the right doubles partner or player, and how significant is that from the perspective of a player's career?
So I think it would be important if Sania does comment on it, but I'll just say that it is, I have seen from my conversations with Imran and Sania during her doubles career that it can be very, very challenging, because you have to find the right person who matches, who brings the skill sets that you need in your doubles partner to complement your skill sets. Then you also need somebody who's available at the right time for the right period. And then, of course, your personalities, your goals, the way you play, the way you function have to match. I think these are the 3 things I have seen that both Sania and Imran have kept in mind when working out a doubles partner. But I think one of them can obviously take this forward.
Yeah, I'll go to Sania with it. By the way, this is from Sambit Joshi, this question that I just asked Shivani to take. So Sania, you take this one and also say, this is from Santosh Palkar. This is also a winning question. Why did Sania virtually give up on singles and concentrate solely on doubles? We all know the answer, but still the question has been asked.
The answer is in the book.
She had the game for singles. Yeah, it is in the book. She had the game for singles, but Sania, why don't you still say it?
So you want me to answer the second question first, no? So basically, I was about 80 in the world in singles, I think 80 or 85, I'm not sure. When I was really struggling with my body, and I was struggling to because I didn't believe that I should be 80. I believed I should have been close to top 20 where I was. And I felt I was not doing justice to the potential that I had. And being mediocre wasn't an option for me. It wasn't one way. It's always, I like to do everything 100%. I don't want to be like, I can only practice 1 hour so that I don't hurt my body further, and then I can, just about maintain and get into a main draw. Like, that's not what I was. I was there to win, and I was try to be the best that I can be. So it was one of the hardest decisions of my career, but we had a few discussions about it, and the question was, can I be number 1 in the world at doubles if I solely focused on that? And because if I did it this way, it wasn't going to happen because my body wouldn't have allowed it. And I definitely didn't want to just linger around being 80 or 85. To put it into perspective, we all know, but just to put it into perspective, being 80 or 85 in the world is something that, of course, no woman has done from the subcontinent before. But also men, we finally have a Sumit who's getting close to it. The last time we had someone was Somdev, and the person before that was Leander Pace. So we've had about 15 years between, and a woman, though, of course, we've not had anybody. So I was very, very good at singles. I was just not the best that I could be, which is the reason.
Okay. We missed the last part. That's okay, but I got the answer there. Imran bhai, you take the next one. This is the winning question number 5 from Siddharth Gupta. And the question is, and I'm going to you because you have actually said that the book is also a roadmap. You've said that. So why is it that India has produced only one Sania? And why there's no one around? I mean, the question is, why are women tennis players so low in rankings, but people are doing well in badminton? So that's a different sport, but take that. I mean, you understand the gist of what Siddharth is wanting to ask.
Yeah, I think firstly, I think it's a totally global sport, if ever there is one. And tennis is played in over 220 countries, as you all know. And, the champion can emerge out of any of those countries. So there's that kind of competition, which you do not find in every sport. It's a totally global sport where you earn a lot of money, earn a lot of fame, and that's where a lot of more people play it, a lot of people watch it. Now, we don't have a system. I feel we don't have a system to produce top-level players. And if you look at the last 2 or 3 decades, whether it is a Leander Pace or a Mahesh Bhupathi or a Sania Mirza, they've all come up on the strength of their families rather than a system. So unless we have a proper system, it's going to be extremely difficult to have regular champions. Like you can have one stray champion in every 10, 15 years. But in Sania's case, at least I know that she needed to have very special talent. She was one of the most talented players even though she had technical flaws of the game. And you needed that kind of a talent, which is not easily found, to break out of a non-existent system. And then she was fortunate to have a family that supported her completely and also knew what we're doing a little bit. Not everyone probably knows, not everyone has the time or the belief to sacrifice the way everyone in my family did. So it's only when all these things fall in together that you can produce a champion. And that's not going to happen every other day. You'll have to wait a long time unless you create a system. That's exactly what we are trying to do. I think that's where we can all get together. Leander, Mahesh and Sania, we know what it is to get there. And if we can all join hands and create a system where lesser talented people can make it to the top. And that should be our goal.
Excellent. Shivani, why don't you take this one? It's from Harshvardhan Pal. And people are wary of going out to sports events. Understandable. how does this impact sport and sportsmen? Does it impact sport and sportsmen? And do you think when COVID goes away, this, the sporting world will be a stronger world?
I think whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, Boria. So whenever we come out of a challenge, we as human, come out stronger. So there are a lot of learnings from the COVID situation, especially. It's good to see the US Open going on right now. Obviously, it is going on in less than ideal conditions, for example. But most of the big leagues have started opening up. The fan experience, which is so crucial as far as sports is concerned, I think that will come back to normal. I think just the innate desire for people to go and watch, live sporting action for any sports fan, I think it will come back to normal. It may take a little bit longer before we have full capacities. But I think the sporting world, I think it's going to, for example, if we talk about football, I think it's going to normalize a little bit of the overspending. I was just having this conversation the other day with someone, some of the very inflated salaries and, some of the big bucks. I think COVID situation has kind of brought that market a little bit to realization. But I think sports in general will be stronger. And sportsmen, I think there are all kinds, some of them are not very happy with the way sports is being played right now. They don't like the bubbles. They don't like the over testing and the fact that you always have to take permissions. But this too shall pass. It will pass, and I think we will all get back to normal sports viewing soon. But some of the technological advancements that we've had to take in, I think they will also continue. So it will be a good way going forward.
Got it. Let me just say something. And here I speak as an academic who studies sport for a living. I think we were being complacent, whether it's the broadcaster, whether it's the administrator, whether it's the organizer. Just think about it. Sania Mirza playing Wimbledon, and all that the broadcaster was doing was focus 25 cameras center court. That's it. Shivani Gupta sitting in Delhi watching Sania Mirza midnight, Boria Majumdar sitting in Calcutta watching Sania Mirza midnight, an Indian in Australia sitting and watching in early morning, somebody in the United States watching in, say, California or New York or Chicago. We weren't given agency. We were also watching Sania Mirza as Indians and celebrating her. And because we were complacent, fandom was restricted in terms of broadcast to the stadium. So what COVID has done is it has allowed technology to go beyond the stadium. Now think about this. Now if I can upload a video real time, when I watch a Sania Mirza gold or a Wimbledon trophy midnight saying, this is what we felt in India or in Australia or in Africa or in England or in America or in any other part of the world, we in one go are expanding the ambit of sport to include millions who have so far been kept out. So according to me, post-COVID, sport will come back with a far bigger market. And that's what the training that we've taken. Technology has allowed us to do this. And I think sport will emerge stronger. Sania, 2 questions to you. One, not to the book. Your take on a Naomi Osaka wearing masks with names and making points, very Sania Mirza-like, basically making similar statements like you have made all your life. And this is a question from Aspi Bhikaji. Would your son play sport? And if he does, what sport would you like him to play?
So Naomi Osaka making statements, I think good for her. I mean, I think that you should really do what you feel like, and if she feels if she wants to use her voice, which she is doing for a lot of right reasons, I think that's amazing, right? Why not? Like I said, when you can influence that many people and you have the voice, so many people are listening to you, and you really believe that something is right or wrong, you should speak up for it. I think that, you all know me, I believe in that and I've followed that all my life, so I'm all for it. And your second question was, will my son play sport? He's not even 2, so I'm not really sure. Sure, he loves to throw the ball. He's 2 and he loves swimming, and he can do whatever he wants, really. I know that we are asked this question because of who we are, me and Shoaib and I, but he really, he does have good genes, I have to say. Not that I'm saying myself, but he's a bit ambidextrous as well. He
Oh,
is,
nice.
yeah, so which is really good. Like at least right now, a couple of teachers, who teach him say, oh, he's got ambidextrous qualities, so he's got that. I think if he plays cricket, he won't be a batter. I think he'll be a bowler because he doesn't really like hitting the ball. He likes throwing it, and he constantly wants to throw things. So I'm guessing, but I don't know. Maybe he'll be a sports person, or he'll be a doctor, or he'll be an artist or a painter. I mean, I don't know. Like he could be whatever he wants.
Nice. Okay, I will give all my speakers a minute each. Imran bhai, you go first. What you've achieved is extraordinary. You've been able to create a role model for this country. When you look back, as a family, you must be extremely proud of what you've been able to do. But in a country where negativity and venom is brewed every day, there's so much gloom around. There's so much still to do. How do you see your responsibility as father, mentor, guardian, role model going forward? Imran bhai?
I mean,
I don't think I can hear you there. Shivani, why don't you take that question as a journalist by the time Imran bhai sort of gets his connection back? How do you see your role as an influencer in this country going forward?
Well, I think what you are able to do often is a factor of the opportunities you get, right? Sometimes, and it is about making the most of those opportunities. So I think my focus always is ensuring that whatever comes my way, I do it well. And I think that's just my motto in life, to just do what you can do well. In the larger context, of course, we are a developing country. Boria, I think it's too broad a question. I don't know exactly what you were hoping for me to answer, but we are a developing country. We are still finding our feet, and we are still trying to settle into what works for us. So a lot of experimentation is going on. If you talk about the media also, for example, and I think we are moving towards a time where individual freedom and freedom of speech is going to be extremely important to every Indian going forward, and I think that's a good thing.
Okay. Sania, when you sort of look back, you've told me that it's a career which is unparalleled, and all of us know that. If I ask you to fast forward 5 years, where do you see yourself? 10 years, where do you see yourself? I mean, I don't see another Sania Mirza happening. Do you see one? Will you create one? You've created a fabulous facility in Hyderabad for people. You are trying to make a difference there. Where do I see Sania Mirza 5 years down the line?
well, as an individual, I can do so much. I think that as an individual, we can. We made a tennis academy, and we can try and talk to people. We can talk to parents. We can try and share our experiences. But we will not have tennis players, or we are not going to produce tennis players, let me say, like other countries until we have a system in place. And that system cannot be created by me individually, or by Mahesh individually, or by Leander, or by Rohan. It has to be a system that is created within the environment where tennis is taken seriously as a sport, that we don't get a champion every 25 years. I mean, we literally have somebody who makes it every 25 years. That's just not good enough. And it's not because we don't have talent, or it's not because we don't have kids who want to work hard. It's because they don't have any guidance. They don't have any system to go to. They don't have anything else. And like Shivani said right at the beginning, everybody makes it despite the system, not because of the system. And that's what we need to change. So in 5 years, I don't know where I'll be. I'll probably have another kid. But I don't know, when it comes to creating a system, I really do hope that there's a system in place where when somebody or your child tomorrow you say, I want my girl to play tennis, what should you do? What step do you need to take? Where can you go? What do you have to do about it? Where are the coaches? Where are the trainers? Where is the National Tennis Academy? Where are, so like a badminton, for example, has shown you what a structure can do, right? When a structure is in place, you can see the results straight away. So the same way, we need to create a system in tennis. And that is something that I think will happen if us tennis players get involved. I think that's very important. Ex-tennis players, present tennis players, I think they need to get involved in the system, because right now the system has people who've never played tennis. So it's very difficult to run something when you've not experienced it. I'm not saying you need to be a champion. You need to have at least played the sport to understand what's going on.
Remember, that is exactly what I was actually asking you. I mean, as a role model, mentor, father, do I see Sania and you taking up this challenge for India and replicate what has happened with, say, a Gopi in badminton? I mean, you've done that for Sania. Do you have it in you? I mean, you still have that motivation to push yourself for 10, 15 more years and do it for the country? Create the next Sania?
I don't know about 10 or 15 years, but we have been trying to do that for the last few years at least. And the fact is that the Academy still managed to produce Pratna Thombre, who went and played Olympics. So, it's not a joke to produce a second Olympian after Sania. So it's not that we haven't achieved something, but we need to achieve a lot more. And we are willing to try as long as we can. And, that has been our goal. And I'd also like to add here, Boria, that, we are extremely proud of what Sania has achieved, and it's been a great journey for us. There have been so many problems along the way, so many challenges, but we've enjoyed every moment of that, what has gone behind us. And we'd like to keep on working towards the goal of producing more champions for the country. And very frankly, I wouldn't take my life with anyone else what I've gone through.
Okay. Shivani, quickly, my time's up, so I'll need to give it back.
I just wanted to add, Boria, that, I really wanted to say that one of the biggest things I have learned as my experience, working closely with Imran and Sania, seeing their family, being in their home, is that they had the tenacity to take on every challenge and also make light of it. They joked about some of the things that were going on, which were very serious things, but they had the knack to kind of joke about it and make light of it and just sit together as a family and, just take it on. And I think that was one of the things that I think was their biggest strength in the kind of up and down, media fight that Sania has had, or media coverage that Sania has had. And I think that really helped. That attitude towards life has
I have to say, I don't feel as bad looking at the media today. I feel like that's how I don't take it personally anymore.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
it was just what it was at that time.
I will say that India has been privileged in a way to have a family like this and to have Sania do what she has. I, as a person, as somebody who has sort of lived sport and made a living out of it, I'm delighted that a Sania Mirza exists in my country who I've been able to analyze. And I will say, in conclusion, that as a family, I mean, this family, I've had some great moments. I mean, I keep telling Imran Bhai that, yes, if my daughter plays tennis, it is Imran Mirza who's going to be the person who mentors Aisha. So Imran Bhai knows that, and he's committed to me that he will give it a shot. So that's how close this family is. And go to their house. Not now. They will not allow you to enter with physical and social distance. But when COVID goes away, go to their house. The food is amazing. On that note, I will give it back to Anil Dharkar. It has been a privilege doing this session because, as I said, I can't say this for many people. I'm quite, people say I'm snobbish, I'm rude, etc., etc. And I'm quite sarcastic also. But one person who I say, and I'm honest here, I'm a fan of, and then I'm using the word fan of, for what she's achieved, it has to be Sania Mirza. One person I really think has made a difference to our society, it is Imran Mirza.
Because people call me the same things. I think that's why you like me.
Yes, maybe that. Anil Dharkar, back to you.
Well, Boria, I think we are all fans of Sania Mirza. And after today's session, I think she'll have even more fans because the way she spoke was so inspirational. And this whole session has been interesting, entertaining, and I'll repeat my word, inspirational. I particularly liked her response to that question about motherhood and marriage, which was so strongly feminist. And as a man, I know I'm never going to ask a question like that again.
That's good. Even for today, see, every day you gotta take one person off a list every day. You're today, sir.
Thank you so much, Sania. Thank you, Shivani. Thank you, Mr. Pitt. And above all, Boria, thanks so much for conducting this so well. Thank you.
All right, guys.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Imran bhai. Thanks, Shivani. Thanks, Sania. We will come back with our next announcement for Tata Literature Live Sports Yatras. Stay healthy, stay safe. Don't underestimate this virus. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you.